Okay, so let's say in this experiment, we decided to test the effect or impact of doing the jumping jacks and on the heart rate, on the pulse rate. So what variables do we need to try to control? Everything else, actually. But what can we control? Not so much everything. Let's see. Let's look at our subjects. In a perfect world, we could have everyone the same age, the same gender, never drinking coffee, never smoking, not stressed at all, no distractions in our area. All those things would be things that were perfect and made for a perfect experiment with valid data. But probably not so much. So let's figure out what we can control. And so there are things like nobody's going to drink caffeine before the experiment because caffeine would zap up their heart rate. However, if you have someone that's a serious caffeine drinker and they don't drink it, you'll note that they probably are a bit more sluggish. So that would be something you talk about in your conclusion. You want everybody to talk about their stress level. We're hoping for a not stressful day where everyone had plenty of sleep. That's another one that's good. Make sure no one is sick or exhausted on the day they do it. What time of day? That might be relevant. If you are doing something outside, if it's really hot in the middle part of the day, maybe the morning might be the best time to do it. On a Saturday when you aren't at work or not after a cold day of work or school. One thing I totally endorse is making sure, everybody, that your subject is sitting when the pulse is taken. You'll get a little bit, that will be good if you do it consistently. The base rate one you take before they do the activity, whatever your activity is, and then the one that they do directly after. You don't want to wait 3 minutes and then take their pulse because their pulse will have changed. So you need to take it directly after. You need to try to eliminate any distractions. When I do this in the classroom, sometimes somebody laughs. If they do, say, I've had some do the jumping jacks, and they're laughing. That's because somebody was looking at them. That's a distraction. Somebody's phone rings. All of those things could definitely impact their heart rate. So you want to brainstorm as many of those variables that you can control in this experiment as possible. Then, so you list those and you brainstorm them in your thing. So here, variables that will be controlled. Rob's blue. He says subject ingests no caffeine in 5 hours before activity. Subject attempts to conduct experiment on a normal day, not stressable. We report stress level before beginning activity. Deb, nobody will do it if they're ill or exhausted. Decided that they would do it. They agreed on Saturday at 9 a.m. Nobody works that day. So you see all the kinds of things that how they controlled it. Then the things we can't control. The gender, because you're using whoever you can use, and so age, gender, and if you're doing an exercise one, you might rate them on a fitness scale. If you're doing a game, a competitive game, they may self-rate themselves on how competitive they are, because that would be something you could definitely talk about. But you can see here that Deb entered hers and Rob entered his and described them. So that's what you're going to want to do on the subject descriptions. All right, now we're getting ready to design the procedure. That is a step-by-step, very clear instructions so that anybody could pick it up and follow and do exactly the same thing. So beginning pulse rate is taken for each subject as they sit and relax. Then, subject performs 30 jumping jacks in 30 seconds, clapping the hands together over the head and spreading legs and jumping with each clap. Then you'd want to immediately, subject sits down, pulse is taken and recorded. I mean, that's a pretty short procedure, and I think everybody would do it just the same, no problems. Perfect world, improvements, same person takes the pulse rate so that we know that they're doing it exactly the same. All those kind of things are what you'll put in your conclusion to help kind of round this out. So your procedure, depending on what you're doing, can be very complex or very simple. I just had students in class this year do building a card house out of cards, and they rated their frustration level. They noted how high the card house got. They noticed if the person said something accursed because it fell. I mean, it can be as complex as you like. All right, I think we've got our procedure and hypothesis done. Next will be running the experiment. But before you do that, you need to okay this with me and hear back from me.